Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. Monday blues on the Lal Street. The stock markets end flat after a range-bound session. Metal stocks rise, but financials drag. Veteran investor Raamdeo Agrawal says valuations in certain stocks have reached a point where it's getting difficult for even a bullish person like him to justify. Says valuations remain a concern for foreign investors. Peer-to-peer lending platforms knock on the RBI's doors after the central bank tightened the lending rules. P2P lenders say new rules are a body blow for the industry. A platform called India P2P pauses withdrawals and new investments. Tensions in the Middle East send freight costs soaring across the world. More than a dozen companies, including Reliance Industries, Divi's Labs, Welspun, UPL, have issued warnings to investors as the Red Sea crisis continues to impact global supply chain. Israeli forces continue operations in Gaza, even as U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says this may be the last opportunity to get hostages out of the region and secure a ceasefire. The top U.S. official is on his 9th visit to the West Asian region since the 7th of October terror attack. Doctors in Kolkata continue to protest for the 9th day after the rape and murder of a trainee doctor inside the RJ Kar hospital. A college student arrested for what the police term is a provocative social media post against Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. A Trinamool MP and 2 doctors are summoned by the police for allegedly spreading fake news. Kerala-based travel services operator Al Hind Group receives the government's approval for starting an airline. Aims to start operations by year-end. Plans an initial investment of 200 to 500 crore rupees. That's an exclusive. Quick commerce companies Blinken and Swiggy Instamart claim record Rakhi orders as India celebrates Raksha Bandhan. Blinken says it received 693 Rakhi orders a minute at its peak. Swiggy Instamart says Rakhi orders are up 5-fold compared to last year. Well, we'll get to the Rakhi action in just a bit, but let's talk about the markets today. The sensex and the nifty ended the day flat after a range-bound session. Now, the sensex ended marginally in the red, but the nifty closed in the green. So the sensex down just about 12 points, the nifty up 31, the nifty bank closing 150 points lower, and the nifty metal index was up by almost 2% this week, today. That is Monday. Financial stocks were the key laggards, and we saw those stocks being under pressure this afternoon. While staying with the markets, veteran investor Raamdeo Agrawal says that valuations of certain stocks have reached a level where it's becoming even difficult for someone as bullish as him to justify. Speaking to CNBC-TV18 on the sidelines of the Motilal Oswal Investor Conference, Agrawal said that valuations remain a cause for concern for foreign institutional investors. Take a look.
So, valuation is one thing which is becoming difficult even for most bullish person like me to justify. So, wherever there is a predictable growth, we are seeing massive demand, and at times the prices are running ahead of the underlying value. So I would think that prices, even in trend, has reached a level which is very difficult to understand. But there is a momentum in the company's performance as well as in the price.
Well, that's Raamdeo Agrawal with concerns on valuations, but those are not new concerns, and yet we've seen the markets ignore all of that and continue to rally. Many say that it's hard to call a top as far as our markets are concerned, given the way that they have been moving, defying most models. Now, gold prices have dipped marginally as traders booked profits after the yellow metals rise to record highs in the last session. However, prices do remain above the $2,500 mark. This is expectations of an interest rate cut by the U.S. Federal Reserve in September bolster demand for the bullion. Increased geopolitical tensions and robust central bank buying has also supported gold prices, which have risen by 20% so far this year. Now, peer-to-peer lending platforms have knocked on the RBI's doors after the central bank tightened the lending rules. Now, P2P lenders say that the new rules are a body blow for the industry. A platform called India P2P has paused withdrawal and new investments. Ritu standing by now to take us through more details. Ritu, how is industry reacting to the new regulations that have been announced, and take us through what the likely impact is?
Well, India P2P is just one of the players that has already stopped any investments taking on new customers and bulk withdrawals to comply with RBI regulations. But there's been a ripple effect through the industry, and since the guidelines came out last Friday, we've been speaking to a whole host of players that have outlined 3 to 4 key issues that they want to take up with the regulator, that is Reserve Bank of India. Otherwise, they say this will be a body blow for the industry. And one of the largest players who did not wish to be quoted even said, this is a death knell for the business. So, in terms of some of the concerns that have been raised by the players, number one is that RBI has made it very clear the platform itself will not handle any money. The money will move between the borrower's escrow account and the lender's escrow account, which means any opportunity for reinvesting that small EMI that used to come in on various repayment schedules ranging from weekly, monthly to quarterly, all of that cannot be reinvested by the platform, taking away one of their, lucrative offers that they had. The second is, the liquidity option, whereby, they could earlier offer this option of selling the loan in the secondary market from one lender to another, offering instant liquidity, which again, RBI has put an end to. The other big concern is the settlement of, the loan or the transfer of money between the lender and the borrower has now been brought down to T+1 day, which means within a day, all of the 5 to 10 lakh transactions that happen on a daily basis and are handled by a trustee of the bank, they will have to be manually reconciled, which the industry says is going to be a tough ask. Apart from this, putting a cap of 50 lakh on the overall exposure across all of the players in the system. Now, industry players have been telling us that there is no common database for them to cross-check whether that 50 lakh limit has been breached yet and whether they're in non-compliance without knowing. So, these are some of the concerns, at least, that, the players have highlighted to us. Remember, it's a 10,000 crore rupee industry, and one of the large players I was quoting earlier said it may come down to a few hundred crores, if some of these relaxations are not provided, because, it is several of these rules that make the industry what it is. Because of the last 6-7 years of no changes in rules, there were certain loopholes, of course, which have been, interpreted by players in different ways. But all of that now goes away with the revised guidelines kicking in with immediate effect.
All right, Ritu, many thanks for joining us. Now, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman met the heads of public sector banks and regional rural banks today to review their performance. The meeting included a review of deposit growth, credit to deposit ratio and asset quality. Cybersecurity and effectiveness of several government initiatives also discussed in that meeting. We'll try and get you more details. Shares of Piramal Enterprises surging in early trade after the promoter group hiked its stake in the company from 46% to 46.3%. The promoters bought over 6 lakh equity shares, amounting to 0.27% of the company's paid-up capital. On to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Kerala-based travel and tour services operator Al Hind Group has received the Aviation Ministry's initial nod to start an airline called Al Hind Air. The upcoming airline is looking to start operations by the end of 2024. After receiving the air operator certificate, a top official from the group told CNBC-TV18 the airline will start flying with 3 ATR planes and an initial investment of 200 to 500 crore rupees. It also plans to initially connect Kochi with Bengaluru, Chennai and Thiruvananthapuram. A female Air India cabin crew member was allegedly assaulted by an intruder in her hotel room near London's Heathrow Airport. The incident took place earlier this week at Radisson Red Hotel, where the crew members of several Air India flights were staying. The intruder is reportedly of Nigerian origin. The cabin crew member was rescued by her colleagues after she was heard screaming. In a statement, Air India said that the cabin crew member was left with bruises and the culprit has now been nabbed. Tensions in the Middle East have sent freight costs soaring across the world. A new report shows freight rates on an average have gone up by as much as 87% since October last year. More than a dozen companies, including Reliance Industries, Divi's Labs, Welspun, UPL, have issued warnings to investors as the Red Sea crisis continues to impact the global supply chain. Clashes between Israeli forces and Lebanon-based militant group Hezbollah intensifying over the weekend. While at least 10 people in South Lebanon were killed in an Israeli missile attack, Hezbollah launched a missile barrage in northern Israel. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken arrived in Israel to attempt a final ceasefire agreement between Tel Aviv and Hamas over Gaza. He said it was probably the best and maybe the last opportunity to secure a ceasefire and hostage release deal in Gaza.
This is a decisive moment, probably the best, maybe the last opportunity to get the hostages home, to get a ceasefire, and to put everyone on a better path to enduring peace and security. I'm here as part of an intensive diplomatic effort on President Biden's instructions to try to get this agreement to the line and ultimately over the line. It is time for it to get done.
Ola Electric has continued its electrifying run on the large street, with the stock hitting up a circuit. The stock has almost doubled in price since debuting on the exchanges last week. Ola Electric's market cap now stands at nearly 65,000 crore rupees. India's quick commerce companies are claiming record Rakhi orders as India celebrates Raksha Bandhan. Zomato subsidiary Blinken claims to have received 693 Rakhi orders a minute at its peak. The Zomato stock in focus today, with brokerage UBS increasing the price target. Mangalam standing by with more on what's driving sentiment there. Mangalam.
Well, you know, the widespread adoption of quick commerce is something that the street likes, and Zomato remains the only listed player in that space right now. If you notice, yesterday was, a record day of orders coming in on Blinken, and that was largely on account of Raksha Bandhan. And across all the Q-commerce platforms, the leaders did tweet or put on social media, the kind of orders that their platforms got, including the likes of Zepto, etc. as well. But in that, Blinken really stood out, with Albinder Dinsa actually saying that they received not only record number of orders, but also the record number of gross merchandise value, alongside a large part of their revenues coming in from Rakhi related products, including Rakhis themselves and sweets, etc. So at peak concurrency, they had almost 700 Rakhis being ordered per minute on that platform, and all these factors really talk about the widespread adoption of Q-commerce in India as a channel of convenience. Zomato benefits also from a couple of brokerage notes that have come in this morning. UBS, for instance, they've rolled forward their estimates on the stock, and as a result of which they've increased their target price from 260 to about 320. Remember, after the first quarter results itself, they had upped their estimates for Q-commerce by about 20 to 30% and 2 to 3% for the food delivery business. So all of that, with a valuation at almost 35 times FY27 EV to EBITDA, makes it comparable to all the other listed consumer players, which are trading at around 30 times itself. Though, there is a justification for this premium by saying that maybe the growth profile and operational turnaround profile of the company looks a lot better placed than all the other peers, and as a result of which the stock is trading at around 35 times.
Many thanks, Mangalam. And not just Zomato, competition Swiggy and Zepto have claimed that they've registered all-time highs on orders and sales. Also, Swiggy's Instamart claimed that their orders per minute rose 5 times in comparison to last year, while Zepto said that they witnessed a surge in first-time buyers. We will head into a break, but up next, doctors in Kolkata continue to protest for the 9th day after the rape and murder of a trainee doctor inside the RJ Kar hospital. A college student is arrested for what the police term is a provocative social media post. Protest rallies against the gruesome rape and murder of a 31-year-old trainee doctor continue in Kolkata and across India. The CBI have interrogated Sandeep Ghosh, the former principal of RJ Kar College, in connection with the crime for the 4th consecutive day. A CBI team also visited the victim's residence. The police arrested a college student in Kolkata for uploading 3 Instagram stories which disclosed the picture and identity of the victim. One of the stories also encouraged others to assassinate West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. Summons have been issued to BJP leader Locket Chatterjee and 2 top doctors over what the police called spreading fake news. Sitting Rajya Sabha TMC MP Sukhendu Shekhar Roy moved the High Court challenging a notice by the Kolkata police. The police had summoned Roy over his tweet where he sought custodial CBI interrogation of the police commissioner as well. With the onset of the festive season, air ticket prices have witnessed a steep surge. Prices have jumped between 15 to 30% in the last 2 weeks of August. And during Diwali week, flight bookings have also seen a 40 to 50% jump during the same period. Danish is standing by now with the details. Danish, I would imagine that it's been a busy August for aviation companies. But what about the forthcoming festive season? Already demand picking up?
If you look at the trend in the last 2 weeks of August, even at this time, the ticket prices have jumped between 15 to 30%, and the similar jump in ticket prices also observed during the Diwali week. If we look at the data shared by Ixigo, Thomas Cook and Ease My Trip, there has been a surge between 40 to 50% in flight tickets, especially in the last 2 weeks of August. And if you look at the average jump in ticket prices, we are seeing that this jump is visible in across all routes, especially from metro to metro and metro to non-metro. As per the data shared by Ixigo, on routes such as Bengaluru Mumbai, Bengaluru Kochi, Delhi Pune, Delhi Goa and Mumbai Goa, the ticket prices have jumped between 38%, 46%, 23% and 37% respectively. And as per Ixigo, a new trend is also visible in international travel, and they're seeing that there's a huge demand for destinations like Bali, Thailand, Singapore, Azerbaijan, Georgia and Vietnam. And these, especially these international destinations, are seeing a surge between 60 to 70% as far as demand is concerned. As far as Diwali is concerned, which is the last week of October, ticket prices have already shot up between 15 to 30%. And as per the data shared by Ease My Trip, one-way fares on certain routes have surged to as high as rupees 30,000 on key routes like Mumbai to Patna, Bengaluru to Varanasi and Bengaluru to Patna as well. So moreover, the reason why we are seeing such a huge hike in ticket prices is the fact that the demand is extremely high right now, and the capacity constraint is there in the industry, as majorly there's only two airlines, Indo and Air India, that are catering to this huge passenger demand.
All right, many thanks, Danish, for joining us. Now, the Union Public Service Commission, the UPSC, has issued an ad for 45 posts to be filled by lateral entry on a contract basis. These posts include 10 posts for joint secretaries and 35 posts for directors and deputy secretaries. Parikshit joins us now with the details. Parikshit, what is the genesis of the scheme and why is the opposition targeting the government over it?
Well, a major political battle has broken out between the Congress and the BJP over the lateral recruitment scheme. Last week, the Union Public Service Commission advertised 45 posts to be filled via the lateral entry on a contract basis. The centre is looking to fill 10 joint secretaries and 35 director or deputy secretary level posts through lateral recruitment. Now, the Congress has called this an attack on Constitution and an attempt to snatch away reservation for backward classes. They've been joined by parties like the Samajwadi Party, the BSP, the RJD, all of them who have criticised this scheme. The BJP is calling this hypocrisy and said that the second Administration Reforms Commission under UPA and in fact under former Minister Veerappa Moily in 2005 had recommended recruitment of experts with specialised knowledge. However, the lateral entry scheme was formally implemented in 2018 during the second Narendra Modi government. The Department of Personnel and Training told Parliament on the 8th of August 2024 that 63 appointments have been made through lateral entry in the last 5 years. Presently, 57 officers are in positions in different government departments. Lateral recruitments are undertaken by the UPSC and applicants for JS posts, and this requires 15 years of experience, and minimum 10 years of experience is needed for director level positions and 7 for deputy secretary level positions. The Parliament reply by the government also said that a Niti Aayog in 2017 had recommended induction of personnel to bring in fresh talent, expertise and augment manpower. Since 2019, 12 lateral entrants have been appointed as joint secretaries. This includes the likes of Ambar Dubey, who was appointed as JS Civil Aviation, Rajiv Saxena appointed as Joint Secretary DEA in the Ministry of Finance, and Sujit Kumar Bajpai appointed as Joint Secretary Ministry of Environment and Forests. Some of these individuals completed their contracts and returned to the private sector, and some have got an extension as well.
All right, Parikshit, many thanks for joining us. Now, the Union government has taken cognizance of the rising monkeypox cases globally. The Health Ministry convened a high-level meeting to review India's preparedness. Ekta joins us now with the details. Ekta.
The WHO has re-declared Mpox as a public health emergency of international concern on the 14th of August, following its initial declaration in 2022. Since then, over 99,000 cases and 200 deaths have been reported globally, with India recording 30 cases, the last of which was in March of 2024. Currently, no new cases have been reported in the country as per the government. The Indian government, in fact, held a high-level meeting to review the preparedness emphasizing enhanced surveillance, readiness of testing labs, and public awareness campaigns. The risk of a large outbreak with sustained transmission is considered low, according to the government authorities. The release issued by the government has indicated that Mpox infections are typically self-limiting, lasting 2 to 4 weeks, with recovery often achieved through supportive care. Transmission occurs primarily through prolonged close contact, especially via the sexual route or contact with contaminated materials. As per the government, the following steps have been taken in the past 1 week odd with regards to Mpox. On August 12th, the National Centre for Disease Control convened a meeting of experts to assess the risk for India. The NCDC is updating its communicable disease alert on Mpox to reflect the recent developments, and sensitization of health teams at international airports is also being undertaken.
Ekta, many thanks for joining us. That's the latest update on the Mpox virus. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. The news will continue right here on CNBC-TV18. Stay tuned. We're back in a minute with more.